This is Notes in the Margin, a podcast for people who are super excited about writing their non-fiction book, but perhaps, just perhaps, aren't quite doing it. If you always feel called to tile the bathroom or clean the toilet instead of writing your book, you are in the right place. Your host, Vicky Fraser, has been there, done that, and has literally written the book about it. Join Vicky and her husband Joe as they make notes in the margin about creativity, writing techniques, publishing, and general shenanigans, and get tips and tricks to help you write your book. Hello and welcome to the Notes in the Margin podcast. I am your host, Vicky Fraser, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. It's not an interview, it's not a normal podcast with me and Joe, because a week or so ago I finished running the second season of MicroBook Magic, and my amazing MicroBook authors have done some wonderful work. The books that are coming out of it are really cool. I'm very excited. And at the end of each of these rounds, I host an author showcase, which gives them an opportunity to read a passage, a short excerpt from their book in front of whoever wants to show up and listen. And then there's a little bit of a Q&A and a bit of a chat, and then we wrap it all up and I talk a little bit about what microbooks are, why you might want to write one, and how you can join us. And so this week and next week, I've split the showcase recording into two. This week is part one, and you are going to hear from some amazing people. You're going to hear from Hillary Weiss, you're going to hear from Clara Callís Lewis, you're going to hear from Sophie Blackmore, and you are going to hear from Sara Walka. And then next week, you'll be hearing from some more people. So I really hope that you enjoy this showcase. I hope you enjoy hearing from the authors that I have been working with to write their microbooks. And I hope that it might encourage you to maybe write a microbook of your own. So without further ado, enjoy. So I'm Vicky Fraser, and I am the leader of the MicroBook Magic course. This is the second round, and it's been absolutely awesome. The first round was amazing, beyond my wildest dreams. We've had some fantastic microbooks come out of it, and this round is shaping up to be at least as good, if not better. Super excited about all of the microbooks coming out of this round as well. And such a diverse and interesting group of people and interesting group of set of ideas as well. You can write a microbook on anything. I kind of wrote a bit of a flippant post yesterday about how you could write 24 pages on what not to do with emus. And I was kind of joking, but I also was not joking, because, that is a perfectly legitimate use of a microbook. You can write whatever you like. And the whole point of these microbooks is that people have got like a burning idea in their heads. They've got something that they want desperately to share with people. Maybe they haven't got the time or the brain space or the whatever to write like a chunky book. And so instead they're thinking, it's really big. What can I do? Microbook is the answer. It's like, what one idea can you share? And a good way to think about this is, sure, we've all read, I know I have read, business books that could have been a blog post, right? There are business books out there that could have been a blog post. And what I wanted to do was, and I think part of the reason that happened, and this is, no real shade to most of the authors who do that. I think part of the reason that happens is because the traditional publishing world, it has its conventions, and it says 80,000 words is what we need. And so I think sometimes books end up being stuffed full of filler, and they don't need to be. So that was part of the reason why I wanted to bring microbooks into the world. We can make our own rules, people, because self-publishing, we can do what we want now, and even traditional publishing is going to have to change with the times. So that is what we are doing. And today I have brought together some of the amazing MicroBook Magic authors from January to read a little piece from their book. I'm going to ask them one by one to introduce themselves. I'm going to put the spotlight on them. They're going to read a little bit from their book. And then if you've got any questions, you can ask questions afterwards. If you have anything you want to say while they're reading, drop it in the comments. If anything particularly jumps out to you, drop it in the chat box. Be like, that was great, or I've got questions about this, or, this was really interesting. Can you tell me more? Pop it into the chat box and we will absolutely ask those questions afterwards. So I'm going to stop sharing my bright orange screen. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce Hillary Weiss Yes, I know. I know you just arrived. I'm just going to put you on the spot. Are you ready?
Yes, very ready to begin. I'm going to be reading something from the introduction. I'm going to be reading the introduction.
Amazing. Okay, so I am going to shut up in just a moment. But before I do, I just want to introduce Hillary Weiss Presswood. So I don't know why your married name popped out on its own.
I'm a woman of many names.
And Hillary is an amazing branding coach, writer, general all-around sparkling disco ball of a human being. She has been my coach and mentor for the past couple of years. Is absolutely amazing, and she's going to now introduce herself. Tell us a little bit about the book you're writing, why you're writing it, and then please read. And also, oh my God, I love your earrings. Over to you.
These are, I picked these up in Mexico, actually, on a street stand, and I was like, yeah, sunflower life. So my name is Hillary Weiss. You might know me by the moniker Hillary Weiss Presswood. My married name, anyway, my middle name is not actually Weiss, but, we've been around a while as Hillary Weiss. So I am really excited to be reading you a clip from the introduction of my book, Trust Your Talent, a personal branding primer for exceptional creatives. And what I really wanted to do with this micro book is offer my readers sort of a baseline that I offer my clients, because I find a big part of my work, yes, it's strategy. Yes, it's pulling those genius ideas out of you. Yes, it's figuring out the specialty, who you want to be working with, how you want to work, what your signature process looks like, what are the offers, the messaging, the visual brand that ties into that. But at the base of it, I'm all about teaching people to trust their talent enough to make big decisions, to take those big swings, and to really get to know themselves. Because I think in the online space, we're all trained to believe somebody else has all the answers, and that all it will take is just hiring your next coach, and then you're going to be there. We always reach out to friends, we all reach out to colleagues with things that we're working on, thinking they're going to have some idea that's just a little bit better than what we can do. They have some sort of information or framework or step that we're missing. And a lot of my clients, I have a lot of conversations with clients where it's no, that's not actually what's happening. There are best practices, but by and large, the absolute most vital skill you can have is learning to understand what you do so well, for who, how, and why. And really being able to talk about that in a way that feels fresh, in a way that feels from the hip, in order to create more unusual things that cut through the noise of the very crowded virtual industry that we all work in. So if you're from my category, which is the online branding and marketing and coaching creative space. So was that enough words?
That was perfect. Thank you so much. And, she's saying cut through all the noise, stand out a little bit. Nobody else is doing bloody micro books. So, right.
Absolutely right.
Please take it away, Hillary.
Okay, so I'm just going to read for my little introduction. It's a few words over 500, but not much, so don't worry. All right, so sometime around 2010, I became obsessed with a blonde around my age from Massachusetts who made hilarious videos on YouTube and owned 2 dogs, one spindly Italian greyhound named Kermit and an elderly Chihuahua named Mr. Marble. Her name is Jenna Mori, but at the time, she was more widely known by her now retired moniker, Jenna Marbles. It was the dawn of a new age of influencer as the video-based platform blossomed into a social juggernaut. And by serving up titles like how to trick people into thinking you're good looking and how to avoid talking to people you don't want to, the hysterical, approachably cool, comfortably awkward Jenna became the indisputed queen of 20-something girls. Her earliest viral sensations gained a whopping, at the time, 5.3 million views in a week. And by the end of her YouTube tenure, she'd amassed over 20 million subscribers. It didn't take long for me to become ravenously curious about her. I wanted to know what I always want to know when people I feel I relate to, or maybe even feel I could emulate, succeed in such explosive fashion. How does she do that? How does she always know what to say when? How did she know that? How did she know things that were so hilariously relatable? Where did she get her ideas from? I felt surely there was a powerful strategy beneath it all. Surely there was some step-by-step she was using to outsmart all of us, balancing the calculated nature of wildly popular entertainment with the beloved chaotic roommate energy she served up to her millions of followers. So as you might imagine, when I eventually got the answer in some interview or other, it was so uncomfortably simple, I almost backed up from my laptop in shock. Oh, there's not really a plan, she said. I just try to make myself laugh. Wait, that was it? She just tried stuff and sometimes it worked? I couldn't believe it. It was almost cruel in its simplicity. When we see someone doing something that deep down we feel we might have been able to do if only we've been given the chance, we always assume they just possess a secret ingredient that we don't. Surely, we think, there's a strategic framework of some kind. Surely, there's some insider knowledge, a technique that only the most entertaining and worth looking at in the population can somehow unlock that we're just not privy to. And while that may be true for, say, the serious actors and artists in the world, in Jenna's case, and in the case of so many others who rose to the top of the democratized wave of early viral internet fame, I've learned it really only comes down to two principles. Principle one, betting on yourself as your first audience member, and before being seen by eyes all over the internet, believing they just might get a kick out of you too. Principle two, trusting yourself enough to truly notice yourself and your place in the wider world, and believing that your lens is worth sharing. The more you practice, the sharper the lens becomes. And I'm here to report, after working in the marketing and branding world since 2011, first as a copywriter before establishing myself as a creative director and positioning coach in 2020, I can confirm a powerhouse personal brand starts with exactly the same principles. Before you become brilliant, you have to trust yourself enough to try things and get good. And before you trust yourself enough to try things and get good, you need to learn to mute the outside noise and just start taking notice of and trusting yourself. Trusting your talents, your interests, the way you see things, the people you love doing it all for, and why those things all work so well for you. Then you've got to act on that. You've got to shut out the frameworks and the tactics and the strategies and the hacks and learn to observe yourself first so you can start to spot what's true, what's valuable, and even what's so damn interesting and amusing about you. So above all, that's what we're here to do today, my exceptional creative friends. Let's begin. The end. Or the beginning. Thank you, everybody.
Love it. Thank you so much, Hillary. I hope everyone enjoyed that. It's like, that's just a little mini masterclass in kind of, believing in yourself and personal and how it all works before we even start. So thank you. And also it's a really great example of exactly what a microbook can achieve is that it's just that step before you do anything else. It's that mindset shift. It's that transformation that you want to see in your reader before you give them whatever comes next, be it like the big in-depth book or a course or whatever, you can deep dive. And that's what you have done with your microbook, Hillary. I'm very proud of you. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Oh, wait,
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Okay, so we have lots of fires and love in the chat for that amazing start. Thank you so much. Okay. If anyone has any questions for Hillary, by the way, about her book or her writing process or any of that, drop them in the chat and we will come back to them at the end. Okay, next up is Clara. Are you ready?
Hello.
Hello. Welcome. Clara is in Spain, which is almost certainly warmer than it is here right now. So
raining today, so it's very strange. Not used to it.
And you are a marketing consultant, am I right?
Yes, correct.
That is, I believe, I know that is what your book is about. So, Clara, please tell us a little bit about who you are, the book you're writing, why you're writing it, and then we'll dive into the book itself.
So I've been marketing director in a company for many years and am freelance only for 1 year. So I have lived more the marketing from my current customers' point of view. And now that I'm working as a marketing agent, I see there are many things in marketing, a lot of priorities people are missing, then that makes them miss a lot of opportunities as well. So for the same number of hours we focus in having like the minimum parts of marketing, we can get a lot better results. And so I wanted my book to be like an example of what we can do to attract clients and also give these tips and how to connect it all. So the title was Don't Break the Chain of all these pieces of marketing.
Love it. Thank you. I mean, there is, I'm going to be honest, and this goes for me as well. There is no shortage of marketing books out there. There is no shortage of book out there. And yet, Clara has come up with a way to look at this subject from a slightly different angle and put her own spin on it. And that is what she's going to read today. So without further ado, Clara, would you like to read to us from your MicroBook?
Yeah. So there are so many things that you can do with marketing. How do you know what to focus on? When you finish this book, you will know what are the minimum parts of marketing that you need to make it work and how to connect it all so that you get results and you get the good clients. So today I wanted to share with you the most basic thing we often forget to do, which is number one, do you know why your customer chooses you over everyone else? And the fact is, you may have asked your clients at some point, but you check that at least once a year. And here's an example. One of my first clients was Luis. He owns an accounting company. We were contacting small business owners through LinkedIn and offering accounting services. But surprise, everyone in Spain has an accounting company. So it went like this. Hi, I'm Tony. I'm a bookkeeper, fast, efficient, and reliable. Would you like a call? And hi, Tony. And Tony would answer, no, thanks. I'm really already working with someone else. So Luis was not happy. He knew that everyone already works with an accounting company and that very few people go to the trouble of changing until it's too late. He told me there was nothing special in his company. They simply kept the accounts and managed taxes like all the other bookkeepers. But I kept asking. And for some reason, he didn't have clients that left angry, like it sometimes happens. So he must be doing something right. He didn't really know if he was more expensive or cheaper because there is such a huge variety of prices. So he had decided to keep it simple and gave a monthly fee, which that one value for a client, which he didn't think at the time it was. And then the big thing came. He was including a free accounting software to all his clients. I couldn't believe it. I was still using a good old Excel, sending the information to the accounting company, several versions up and down. This would make me change my bookkeeper. And the more I thought about it, it could make other people the change too. So in your case, think it through. Ask your clients. There are differences between one company and the next. Make sure that your message includes that. Our LinkedIn sequence changed. We asked business owners, how did they work with their accounting company? Did they send an Excel? Did they have their own accounting software? For the first time, we had people answering. We were asking for something little. And we were talking about them and not us. From there, we pointed out that they could have their own accounting software for free. And in a following message, we gave them signs that it's time to change your accounting company before it's too late. So these are mistakes sometimes we have, is that we tell people about us and they're not interested about our services. For example, I'm a bookkeeper and I have an amazing service. The solution is to change your message and talk about how you help people. Even better if you can personalize it to the person in front of you. In this case, we're a hybrid on-offline accounting company. You get the best from both worlds. Your personalization from the traditional offline and your own bookkeeping software to fly through the repetitive work. And that's it.
Thank you so much. I am really looking forward to reading the rest of the book because I know that you are...
haven't finished it yet.
Yeah, not finished yet. But I also know that people are going to find this really, really useful because, we all really good at what we do, but when it comes to actually marketing it and selling it,
I find it difficult for myself. Much easier to see what's valuable in others than in myself. Yeah, exactly.
There's love in the chat box. Good job, Clara. I love this. Love that the solution is to change your message. Amazing. Yes, it is indeed. And I'm also doubly impressed that you are writing in English and your first language is Spanish. And so that is really impressive.
I'm 50% English, so
so that's awesome. I'm going to have this dual, and this is actually just FYI. The Spanish language books are doing incredibly well at the moment in Spain and also in North America and South America. They are selling extremely well at the moment. So just FYI for everybody listening, if you're putting a book out, keep that in mind. Maybe worth getting it translated into Spanish at some point. So Clara, thank you so much for sharing. I can't wait to read the whole book. If anyone has any questions for Clara, pop them in the chat box, and also drop your social media handles in the chat box as well, my beautiful microbook authors and everybody else. It would be really great to forge some more connections today. So drop your social media handles in, and maybe some new beautiful friendships will come out of this today. Thank you, Clara. Well done. Awesome. I'm going to unpin you, and I'm going to look at my list, and we are going to move on to Sara Walka.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming to this showcase. Sara runs a business called The Sisters Enchanted, and I am going to let her tell you all about it. So tell us who you are, what you do, and why you're writing your book.
Yeah, I'm Sara, and I am the founder of The Sisters Enchanted. And we are a personal growth company for women who bring intention, intuition, and everyday magic into the mix with fun things like tarot, astrology, but also a whole lot of practical know-how to actually get things done and not get lost in, just the mix of all the shiny objects. And my book is called Born Magic: Why Living an Aligned Life Feels So Hard and What to Do About It. And I'm writing this book because we've worked now with thousands of women over the last 7 years. And so many people come to us just saying, like, this all sounds well and good, all these things you're talking about, but I'm completely lost in the mix of day-to-day life. And how do I begin to get started? Also with a lot of misconceptions about themselves based on stories that they've collected throughout their lifetime that are stories and not truth. And that's what this book is addressing. So I'm going to read part of chapter 1, not the whole chapter, but just part of it. So here I go. Why is it that some 7-year-olds are able to keep their rooms clean or organize their folders and backpacks while some aren't? Why is it that some 17-year-olds can manage every bit of the high school experience flawlessly, while others can't remember their lunch money, homework, or what class they're supposed to be going to, even after 3 years of doing the same thing each and every day? The answer lies in executive function skills. These are the skills that help you to organize things and ideas, start and complete tasks, manage multiple ideas at one time, and understand the way that other people around you are thinking. Now this gets interesting. These skills develop in various capacities, anywhere between the ages of 3 and 18, and aren't fully developed until age 25 for many people. I'm simplifying and distilling this down for the purpose of this book, but this should bring us to a screeching halt. Some people learn to start tasks all on their own as young as 6. Others may not develop the skill until they are 12. That is a 6-year time frame. Some people will learn to manage a calendar and break big tasks into smaller ones as young as 13, and others may be 25 before the skill is fully developed. 12 years. There are 12 years for the skill set to fully form. What does this have to do with living an aligned life? Every freaking thing. The first step to living an aligned life is in deciding what that means for you. What does it look like? What does it feel like? What do you want to feel like? Sounds easy enough, right? Here's where things go sideways and where we circle back to executive function skills. We can't answer any of these questions in a truly authentic way because we're buried under the stories of what we learned to be true about ourselves in childhood. Our frame of reference and how big we can dream is inhibited by what we learned from a young age that we are or are not good at. Your executive function skills development and whether or not those met the expectations of the grown-ups around you at any point created your inner dialogue and what you think to be true about yourself. For 18 years or more of your life, you learned what you are and are not capable of through the lens of external expectation. Sit with that for a minute. Read it again. For 18 years or more of your life, your formative years, you learned what you are and are not capable of through the lens of external expectation. And that's my blurb.
Oof. I don't know about anybody else, but I feel like that certainly hit a few spots for me. The fact that I am the person who still cannot do basic things despite having done them every day. But yeah, that line about, being told for 18 years or, learning what you can and can't do over 18 years from external expectations is, it's It's a big idea to get into your head and chew on.
It's a gut punch of a book.
Yeah.
I hope in a good way.
Oh, it definitely will be. I mean, I can already tell this is going to be a mindset shifting book, and that's what I am so excited about. These micro books have the potential to be so powerful. They are micro but mighty. And thank you so much for sharing, Sarah. I'm really excited about. Yeah, as Sharon says, I'm excited about this gut punch.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you for sharing. So yeah, love it. I think quite a lot of people are going to be interested in, well, people are going to be interested in all the books, but I feel like I tend to attract people who are, I like to call it neurospicy brains. And so I think a lot of the people who are going to be listening to this and the replay are going to listen to what Sarah's just said and be like, ooh, that sounds familiar, and are going to be interested in reading on. So thank you very much. I'm going to unpin you. And just as another interlude, as I remember things, I do have notes, I promise, but I also am remembering things as I go along. Also, the authors, please let us know where we can find out more about your book. So if you've already got your book page, pop it into the chat box, or if you've got an email list sign up, pop that into the chat box as well, in case people want to get on the list and find out when your book is arriving. I've just noticed that my hair matches Hannah's jumper, and now I'm totally distracted by that. So I also saw a question. Sophie, yes, I will absolutely share/save the chat for afterwards. If anybody would like me to send them the chat afterwards, please also drop your email address into the chat box in a kind of very meta way, and I will email you, or you can send me your email privately. If you can message me privately in the chat if you don't want to put your email address out to everybody, that's cool. But I will email the chat to whoever would like it afterwards. So yes, absolutely, Sophie, and also just a good question anyway. So speaking of Sophie, you're up. I'm going to pin you. Sophie, okay. Bonjour, bonjour, as your jumper says.
Bonjour, bonjour.
Welcome. Sophie is also a marketer. She is writing a book that I'm very much going to enjoy, and that I think I wish I would have had when I first started my business. That is all I'm going to say about it. And I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about the book you're writing and why you're writing it, and then we'll hear from you.
Okay. So, yes, another marketer. God, they're everywhere. The purpose of my book, and I think the reason why I struggled to get going on it really, was I was a little bit sort of stuck with this concept of, God, another marketing book. Like, what can I possibly bring to the fore that's going to be helpful to anybody over all the other stuff that's out there? But I realised, and actually Vicky and I were talking about this, that I sit with my clients in a middle ground. I'm not purely a freelancer, neither am I part of an enormous agency that works with massive businesses. And the people that I work with need a combination of advice and practical help. And quite often the books you either get gives you lots and lots and lots of advice and absolutely no bloody clue how to apply it, or gives you lots and lots of practical advice on one particular area of marketing, but no idea how to stick it back with the rest of the stuff that you're doing. So the purpose behind my book is to share common mistakes. I had a conversation with a group that I'm in, a marketing group, and I said, what are the mistakes that you see over and over again for something completely unrelated? And the chat just went, and everybody vomited all the things that they come across, and there were some common themes. So I thought, why not share those common themes, as in, this is something you might fall into the trap of, this is how you can try and avoid that. This is a practical thing that you can do. And it's aimed at business owners who know that they are not the expert, know that they probably need to bring some sort of support in, don't really know what that looks like, need a little bit of help in getting to that point. So the idea is that if they do nothing more than read this, they'll have found some help. That's the whole purpose of it. So it's 10 marketing cock-ups, mistakes, and hopefully how to avoid them. That's it. So I'm going to read my little intro to that book. So here goes. Oh God, another marketing book. Why should you read this? Let me tell you. Over the years, I've had to be a multitasking, omnipotent, omnipresent marketer. It is hard. It is even harder if you are a business owner who doesn't know much about marketing. If your business is turning over between 500,000 and 3 million, you're fairly well established. You're doing okay. But my guess is you've reached the limit of your knowledge. You're probably at the point where you know you're not the expert, but don't know who or what to bring in to move things forward. Marketing advice is common, and to a business owner like you who is not a marketer, it is hard to tell who is the expert and who's the idiot. It's even harder to take in advice and know how to apply it. It might all sound simple until you come to do it, right? That's where this book comes in. Because I've been a one-stop marketing shop for a number of businesses, I've seen these businesses make the same marketing mistakes over and over again. While you can never guarantee results, you can control processes and the choices you make. And I've picked up more than a few that have helped me. By sharing these mistakes with you, you will, A, get a better understanding of what marketing is, B, avoid making these very common and costly mistakes, C, get practical tips to help you understand what to do instead. This book will give you 10 practical and bite-sized activities to help you avoid really common cock-ups. It will also help you work out which areas of your business marketing you need help with next, so you can go find someone. It might be me, it might not. I'm not precious. But if you do nothing else, reading this book will help you market your business better and remove some of the overwhelm. You'll be further forward than you were yesterday, so that's progress. Are you ready? Grab a brew and let's go. That's it. That's as far as I've got.
Love it.
I hope that's okay.
Yeah, no, that was fantastic. Thank you so much. And having, I have seen the structure of the book as well. And again, I really love the fact that you are taking it right back. And we're not trying to do everything with this microbook. We are trying to just shift people's mindsets. We're trying to just get them started. We're trying to get them right at the start. It's like, we're not going to make these mistakes. And that's, I love that that's where we're coming from. Because, I like the idea of starting with 10 mistakes is a good framework to start with, because I think it's useful for people to see what not to do as well. We're always so focused on showing people what to do. Actually, I think it's really useful to see what not to do as well. And so, yeah
absolutely. And also part of this, I think, came off the back of, I get really irritated on LinkedIn when people come and criticize people and say what not to do, but then don't give them an alternative of what potentially better could look like, and it's like, well, that's not helpful, is it? It's not helping anybody. Say, don't do that. Oh, thanks, brilliant. Okay, so what else do I do? But yeah, so the plan is each chapter will have a little template that they can fill in, and also we shall see, you can hold me to this, the plan is also to record a TikTok that sums up the basis of each chapter so that people can watch that as well if they want to, but I haven't done that bit yet. That'll
be a fun part.
Yeah, that's the easy bit, frankly. That's not the difficult part.
I mean, you could make the TikToks and then write the chapters from that. Just saying.
I could.
Also a legit way of doing things. Yeah. So thank you so much, Sophie. Thank you for sharing. I'm really looking forward to this book coming out. I know people are going to find it super helpful. And I'm also just going to jump on a point that Sophie made a minute ago. She said, she even started the book with, oh God, not another book on marketing. I think that stops a lot of people from writing books. So I just wanted to say a couple of words on that now. There is no shortage of books on almost any subject in the world. Things that, unless it's a brand new industry, unless it's a brand new innovation, there are going to be plenty of books on it. That's not the point. Don't let that stop you from writing your book, because you can go and pick up any number of books, but I want to know what your perspective is. So, Sophie's going to have a different perspective on marketing from Clara, and they're both going to be really useful. I'm going to get different things from each of those people. There is enough room in the world for everybody and everybody's book. The important thing is that it's about something that it's got your take on it. If you're just regurgitating facts that you could get off the internet, of course it's going to be just another book on whatever. But what we want is your take on it. Yeah, hand raise, go for it.
I was just going to say, I think that's one of the beauties of writing a microbook, because you can't write everything in it. So actually, you can quite easily justify it to yourself as the writer. Oh, well, I can't cover everything because it's so small. And I think in some ways, for me, actually, that's been quite freeing in the fact that I don't need to cover everything that's ever been said about marketing ever. Like, actually, that's quite nice. So, I don't know if anybody else found that, but I suddenly realized that gave me permission to stop worrying about having to cover everything. Don't need to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. We have this idea that, big is always better. And, sometimes that's true if you're talking about the Eiffel Tower or, a chocolate cake. But, it's when we're talking about books, I wasn't kidding about books that could have been blog posts, that should have been blog posts. I think that's another reason to, that's one reason to write a microbook. But another reason to write a microbook is exactly what Sophie's just said. It's like giving you permission that actually you don't have to write 80,000, 60,000, however many thousand words on a subject. You can just distill your wisdom and your experience and your opinion on this one idea and pop it into a microbook, and it can be incredibly powerful. So thank you, Sophie. Well, I hope you enjoyed that showcase as much as I enjoyed hosting it. I think you'll agree that's a really interesting group of people and a really fascinating, diverse group of microbooks. You can literally write a microbook on anything. One of my favorite examples is the book Fucking Apostrophes, which is a little 62-page book that is just about how to use apostrophes. And it's really funny and it's really simple. And that is the entire purpose of the book. It's not like grammar, like all of the rules of grammar. It's literally, how do you use apostrophes? Or fucking apostrophes, as Simon Griffin, the author, puts it. So yeah, write a microbook. And if you would like to, season 3 of MicroBook Magic launches, onboarding week starts on the 27th of February, and we kick off for realsies on March the 7th, and you can join us anytime up to March the 5th. Help you to catch up on the onboarding week. So if you would like to do that, the link is in the show notes, or drop me an email, vicky@moxiebooks.co.uk, and I will give you all of the information that you need. We would love to have you maybe get your book written by May Day. How cool would that be? Thank you so much for listening, as usual. Podfly, thank you for making us sound smooth. And thank you to my new and amazing VA, Carolyn, for getting this podcast out and about into the world for me. And thank you to you, dear listener, because without you, it's just me shouting into the void, really. So if you've enjoyed this episode, please rate and review us. 5 stars would be great. But the absolute best thing you can do is share it with somebody who you think might enjoy it. And I'll be back next week. Thanks so much for listening. Check out the show notes at moxiebooks.co.uk/podcast for links to everything we've mentioned in this episode. Remember to subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts from. And if you'd like to hear more from Notes in the Margin, you can sign up to get regular emails from Vicky into your inbox at moxiebooks.co.uk/notes in the margin. We'll be back same time next week.